Mikkel. First. That's a first. No? Churros, cinnamon chips, and the brown drink. Ready to have a good time with my fellow Markan Theist Gnostic. It's relatively accurate. That is pretty accurate, my friend. David. Good evening, all. Being with all of you this evening is the highlight of my day. Can't wait to hear what y'all say next. Probably nothing good, if I had to guess. Number 2, story of my life. Well, I had an eventful week, and it's only getting more eventful as the days go on. It will be an eventful weekend as well. Tampa, let me do the Discord thing real quick, like ish, maybe. There we go. BOG, the bog. We're at what, like 92% done. Couple weeks, probably. Good God. The other night at 9 o'clock at night, I had to go pull a squirrel out of somebody's apartment. So that was eventful. We had the possum a couple weeks ago in an air vent. I got more squirrels this weekend. Got a skunk right now. It's been a wild week. It is the animal season. Let's see. We're on 99, I think. I think 99 is where we left off. More woes to you. Shocking. I believe I saw a message from Ghost that they will be absent today. So everybody mourn the absence of Ghost and Ruth. Hopefully they are doing something fun. But it's just not the same with them here, man. It's just not the same. It's not the same when any of the key players are absent. It's just weird. Feels weird. Feels like we're a hive mind at this point. Wild week indeed, sir. Yes. But it's always fresh, I suppose you could say. Never know what's going on. That's what makes it fun. If fun is the right word. Not 100% sure. Reminder that at least for the next month or so, tomorrow, or I'm sorry, I keep thinking it's Friday, man. I can't get out of it. Saturday and Sunday are off the table. I have dumpsters coming. We are trashing our home to try to get ready to move. So no Saturday, no Sunday, unfortunately. But I'm not going to let it go because I want to finish the Apocrypha of John. So Mondays will stay. Thursdays will stay as much as humanly possible will stay. Cancel in emergency only. Mondays will just be kind of hang out and mess with AI unless something else comes up, and then we dedicate the time to something else. And then Thursday will continue to be like non-canonical stuff. So when we're done with the Book of Giants, I'll just post screenshots of my Kindle because I have like endless stuff. So we could just go forever. And maybe we finish the Apocrypha of John on Thursday and then go into something else. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever we want to read. But I'm just going to come on and read, and whoever comes, cool. Cool. Because it's good for me. It's good for me. It's a nice little break, in a sense. So, 99. I think. It's either 99 or 100, but I feel like I was a total jackass and stopped us at 99 last time. Woe to you who do godless acts and praise and honor lies. You shall perish, and no happy life shall be yours. Woe to them who pervert the words of righteousness and transgress the eternal law and count themselves as sinless. They shall be trodden underfoot on the earth. Let me invite Tampa before I forget. There you go, Tampa, if you want it. Monday at 7 and Thursday at 6. Correct. Yes. And I believe Did I do it? No. So Saturdays for the time being, cancel. So Discord is now up to date. Thursdays, good. And then Mondays, good. And they have the proper link as well. So the Discord events are kosher, as they say. So yeah, good question though. That's worth clarifying. Monday at 7 Central and Thursday at 6 Central. Trodden underfoot on the earth. In those days, make ready, you righteous, to raise your prayers as a memorial and place them as a testimony before the angels, that they may place the sin of the sinner for a reminder before the Most High. Real quick, because I was listening to something today that they were having this argument about like the idea of faith. And so I know there's only a few of us, but if anybody has an opinion, feel free to throw it out. What their argument is one person was saying that they believe in like the scientific method and they believe in evidence. And that's where their faith lies, which I think is arguable to begin with, because just the definition of faith. But you still like have to believe stuff because you're not engaging in the science. You're not engaging in the studies. You're not actually doing it and learning these things. So the proof is not actually yours. You're still taking the word of somebody. You know, science says this. Okay, well, we're taking the word of the scientists in that scenario. And the other side of the argument was that it's the same as Christianity or any religion, I guess, where we're taking the word of these people, these witnesses, the 500 witnesses. We're taking the word of theologians from the first century and whatnot. We're taking the word. We're believing we have faith because of that. And the argument was basically that those are the same. And I'm the cynic, so I don't think so personally. And I'm wondering if I'm just wrong and being too cynical. I do see those as different things. Whereas like with science, sure, we're not performing the experiments. We're not seeing it firsthand. But a lot of those things, like you at least could, it's possible. You could sit and you could run tests. Like we have access to equipment and to materials and stuff like that. So outside of like wild stuff where you need, $100,000 laboratory to do it, you can prove some things that the scientific community teaches us. Whereas like on the faith side, you can't really prove anything. I don't think. There's a lot of, hey, Patricia, there's a lot of proof in the sense of like testimony, where we have people who say like they heard from God or they saw Jesus or whatever, but none of it is testable. None of it is repeatable, which is a big thing in science. I just see them as different. And the argument was essentially that they're the same. Our faith in the scientific community and in experiments and outcomes and stuff like that is identical or synonymous with ghost. It's synonymous with faith in like religion and stuff like that. I just thought it was interesting because I didn't agree, but I could just be being cynical. This would not surprise anybody, but it was an interesting conversation. And then where I got a little bit won over was when they brought up COVID, because that was like, believe the science, believe the scientists, believe the scientific community. And like most people at this point understand that they were completely lied to and duped. And at that point I was like, maybe it's a better argument than I thought. Maybe they were similar. Ghost, I know you watch Timcast. If you happen to catch, and I know you're busy right now, so don't worry about it, but if you happen to catch Ian and Tim's little argument on there from last night, believe the high priest. I'd be curious to get your opinion. It doesn't have to be tonight, but at some point. I thought it was interesting. Joe, seems you're alluding to the elusiveness of everything, right? Basically, I just think like everything takes faith, but I think in the context of science, a lot of that is observable. Like we can produce these experiments that show outcomes for real. Yeah, Ghost, it was last night. Whereas I don't know if any of that is true for religion at all, or for faith or for God. I don't know if any of it is. Like I can't think of anything that is testable, where we could measure it, where we could repeat it. You get what I'm saying? Whereas science, there is stuff like that. To a degree with science, yes, we have to still believe things. We have to still put faith in things. But if I really wanted to, I could buy the equipment, I could learn the experiment, and I could produce the outcome. I don't know if that's possible with religion. So I just thought it was a really interesting conversation. But if anybody's interested, it was Timcast IRL, and it was last night. And I believe it was closer to the end of the episode. And it's between Ian is his name. And then in a sense, yeah, it'd be Prisoner's Dilemma. In a sense. But I think it could extend past it in another sense. But it's Timcast IRL. It was last night, so Thursday night. I keep thinking it's Friday. Wednesday night. And it was an interesting conversation. That's all. Not sidetrack too hard. Proof that the golden rule is objectively the best for all parties. What do you mean? Like that there is proof of that? I think I would agree with that. If we were able to, like, I guess, I don't know. Maybe there's an argument for we've never actually been able to test that. So we don't know, but we assume based on what we understand. Yeah. But is it provable? Maybe. Prisoner's Dilemma is proof. I have slight issues with the Prisoner's Dilemma, but I get what you're saying, and for the most part, I agree. I hate how they talk to Ian, bro. It drives me crazy. It drives me insane. Ian's doing his best over there with his 70s Joseph Technicolor Dreamcoat jacket and his Beatles glasses. He's doing his best over there. Just little fellas trying to figure it out. They're so rude to him. Not a fan, man. Not a fan. Tim's just kind of an asshole. But it's good stuff. Verse 4, I think. Verse 4. In those days, the nations shall be stirred up, and the families of the nations shall arise on the day of destruction. In those days, the destitute shall go and throw their children out, and they shall abandon them, so that their children perish because of them. They shall abandon their children that are still babies, suckling, and not return to them, and they shall have no pity on their loved ones. Again, I swear to you, you sinners, that sin is prepared for a day of unceasing bloodshed. Go said Ian can't express himself in the way needed. Totally agree. He's honestly trying, though. I hate when they gang up on Ian, even when he's being Ian. 100%. And if you read like the comments on Rumble, people don't like him, and I genuinely don't get it. You can tell like he cares, and he's just trying to figure it out. But one, I don't think he talks to the right people. So he gets like very service level information on a lot of things. And then two, exactly what you said, in my opinion, is that he has a really hard time expressing what he's trying to express. And then they put him on the spot and they back him into a corner and they're very like demeaning to him. And it's like, dude, he's not going to perform well under those conditions either. It's not like he's a debater. Let's not forget about the black swan. Ooh, which black swan? There have been many black swans. Matthew 24:6. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you not be troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nations shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. Back to Enoch. Verse 7 says, and they who worship stones and carved images of gold and silver and wood and stone and clay, and those who worship impure spirits and demons and all kinds of idols, not according to knowledge, shall get no manner of help from them. And they shall become godless by reason of the folly of their hearts. And their eyes shall be blinded through the fear of their hearts and through visions in their ambitions or dreams. Colossians 2:16 says, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he has not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind, and not holding the head, from which all the body by joints and bands, having nourishment ministered and knit together, increaseth with the increase of God. Back to Enoch, verse 9. Through these they shall become godless and fearful, for they shall have done all their work with lies, and shall have worshipped a stone. Therefore, in an instant shall they perish. Revelation 9:19 says, for their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk, neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. I mean, I'm ungraspable myself. That's true in several ways, I would say. Enoch, verse 10, 99:10. But in those days, blessed are they who accept the words of wisdom and understand them, and observe the paths of the Most High, and walk in the path of his righteousness, and become not godless with the godless, for they shall be saved. Woe to you who spread evil to your neighbors, for you shall be slain in hell. Woe to you who make your foundation that of deceitful or sin and lies, and who cause bitterness on the earth, for they shall thereby be utterly consumed. Woe to you who build your houses through the hard labor of others, and all their building materials are the bricks and stones of sin. I tell you, you shall have no peace. Woe to them who reject the measure and eternal inheritance of their fathers, and whose souls follow their idols, for they shall have no rest. Woe to them who do unrighteous acts and help oppression and kill their neighbors until the day of the great judgment. For he will throw down your glory. For he shall throw down your glory again and bring affliction on your hearts, and shall arouse his fierce anger and destroy you all with the sword. And all the holy and righteous shall remember your sins. Chapter 100. And in those days, one place the fathers together with their sons shall kill one another, and brothers shall fall in death together until the streams flow with their blood. For a man shall not withhold his hand from killing his sons and his sons' sons, and the sinner shall not withhold his hand from his honored brother. From dawn until sunset they shall kill one another. Mark 13:12 says, now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. Back in Enoch 103. And the horse shall walk up to the breast in the blood of sinners, and the chariot shall be submerged to its height. Revelation 14:20. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and the blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Back to Enoch, verse 4. In those days, the angels shall descend into the secret place and gather together into one place. All those who brought down sin in the Most High will arise on that day of judgment to execute great judgment among sinners. And over all the righteous and holy, he will appoint guardians from among the holy angels to guard them as the apple of an eye, until he makes an end of all wickedness and all sin. And even if the righteous sleep a long sleep, they have nothing to fear. And the wise men will seek the truth, and they and their sons will understand the words of this book, and recognize that their riches shall not be able to save them or overcome their sins. Woe to you, sinners, on the day of strong anguish, you who afflict the righteous and burn them with fire. You shall be requited according to your works. Woe to you, you obstinate of heart, who watch in order to devise wickedness. Therefore shall fear come on you, and there shall be none to help you. Woe to you, you sinners, on account of the words of your mouth, and on account of the deeds of your hands, which your godlessness has caused. In blazing flames, burning worse than fire, shall you burn. 2 Timothy 1:7. And to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Jesus shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, who shall be perished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power. Back in Enoch 10. And now know that the angels will ask him in heaven about your deeds, and from the sun and from the moon and from the stars they will ask about your sins, because on the earth you execute judgment on the righteous. And he will summon to testify against you every cloud and mist and dew and rain, for they shall be withheld from falling on you, and they shall be mindful of your sins. And now give gifts to the rain, that it cease not from falling on you, nor the dew, when it has received gold and silver from you, that it may fall. When the hoarfrost and snow with their chilliness, and all the snowstorms with their plagues fall on you, in those days you shall not be able to stand before them. Chapter 101. 94%. We might finish. Observe heaven, you children of heaven, and every work of the Most High, and fear him, and work no evil in his presence. If he closes the windows of heaven, and withholds the rain and the dew from falling on the earth, on your account, what will you do then? The chilliness, baby, the chilliness. I'm really curious what that word was, because I don't know if I feel like I would have laughed last time. I'm not sure if maybe that was the first time they translated something to chilliness. And I'm curious what the original word would be. And if he sends his anger on you because of your deeds, you cannot petition him, for you spoke proud and arrogant words against his righteousness. Therefore, you shall have no peace. Can you say that last paragraph again? Surely. Hold on. I'll just restart 101 because it's only 2 paragraphs. So it says, observe heaven, you children of heaven, and every work of the Most High, and fear him, and work no evil in his presence. If he closes the windows of heaven and withholds the rain and the dew from falling on the earth on your account, what will you do then? And if he sends his anger on you because of your deeds, you cannot petition him, for you spoke proud and arrogant words against his righteousness. Therefore, you shall have no peace. It is. There have been a few sections that were pretty poetic, pretty interesting stuff. I find a lot of the non-canonical stuff, just in general, is, and maybe I'm just biased, dude, but I find a lot of it pretty poetic. Like some of the non-canonical gospels are pretty poetic. The Apocrypha of John is pretty poetic. There's some good stuff. But then you got to wonder, like, was that the English translation that did that? Or is the original also that poetic? It's hard to tell. It's hard to say for us mere English readers. Fire pouring from heaven. No wonder all those ancient melted buildings, some dubious mountains. True though. Chile or Chile or Chile. All of them. All of the chills. Every chill. Maybe one of these Mondays we go through like an Atlantis, and then some of the other stuff that Kat and Ghost know about, but I know nothing about, that I said I was going to spend some time on and I haven't yet. Maybe we do that on a Monday and go down some weird ancient rabbit hole stuff. That would be fun. That'd probably be interesting. Verse 4. Don't you see the sailors of the ships, how their ships are tossed back and forth by the waves, and are shaken by the winds, and are in great trouble? ? And therefore they are afraid, because all their nice possessions go on the sea with them. And they have bad feelings in their heart, that the sea will swallow them, and they will perish therein. Are not the entire sea and all its waters, and all its movements, the work of the Most High? And has he not set limits to its actions, and confined it throughout by the sand? I love that, actually. So one more time. It said, "Are not the entire sea and all its waters and all its movements the work of the Most High? And has he not set limits to its actions and confined it throughout by the sand?" I love that because it makes me think of conversations we've had, and I believe they brought it up in that episode I was referencing from IRL. The confines of the world that we live in, and like the perspective of the video game, where the coder codes everything just so, but it doesn't mean the coder is held to the parameters of the game. That verse makes me think of that kind of. He set limits to its actions, the sea, and confined it throughout by the sand. There's a literal perimeter rather than a parameter. Patricia said the paragraph right before 101 with the chilliness was super poetic too. 12? Yeah, 12 was too. The gold and silver get brought up a lot in this text. Mythical Mondays. There you go. Nailed it. If it's Wolf brand chili, I'm down. Mythical Monday's good. Yeah, I like that. Verse 6 is a hardcore ontology verse. All right. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Big fan. That's, yeah, great point. Totally agree. That's just interesting. It was very interestingly expressed by the author. And it continues. And at his reproof, it fears and dries up, and all its fish die, and all that is in it. But you sinners that are on the earth fear him not. That's hard hitting too. Has he not made heaven and the earth, and all that is in it? Who has given understanding and wisdom to everything that moves on the earth and in the sea? Do not the sailors of the ship fear the sea? Yet you sinners do not fear the Most High. That's great too. That's great too. The sailors fearing something that God made, yet sinful people do not even fear God himself. That's phenomenal. What a great slap in the face. It's giving Job vibes again. I get why you say that. Yeah. This chapter has got a bunch of good in it. He's having a good day. 102. All based on awareness or lack thereof. Yeah. I would say. And then some is, perspective to a degree. But yeah, for sure. Based on awareness or the lack thereof. Reminds me of those sailors in the Jonah parable. That's interesting. That's fair. That's a great one to point out. I would not have thought about Jonah. That's a very interesting comparison. I would totally agree. I needed to hear a lot of this tonight. Well, good. I won't press. Hopefully there's more of it for you. It's been good stuff. We love you. Hope you're loving life. We have missed you very much, by the way. By the way, I was saying at the beginning of this that it's weird when someone's not here. And it's been weird with you not around as much. Just so you know, we don't need to make it weird now. But love you. In those days, if he sent a horrible fire on you, where will you flee? And where will you find deliverance? And when he launches out his word against you, will you not be shaken and afraid? Makes me think of Naked and Afraid. But that's just me. And all the luminaries shall be shaken with great fear, and all the earth shall be afraid and tremble and be alarmed. And all the angels shall execute their commands and shall seek to hide themselves from the presence of he who is great in glory. Great in glory. I don't recall seeing in the past either. That's another one I would be interested to know. What was the original expression? And why did we translate it to that? Because I don't think we've seen that before. And the children of earth shall tremble and shake, and you sinners shall be cursed forever. and you shall have no peace. 2 Peter 3:8 says, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with a fervent heart. The earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all the holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God, where the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness, where righteousness dwells. Fear you not, back in Enoch, fear you not, you souls of the righteous, and fear not you who have died in righteousness. And don't grieve if your soul has descended to the grave in grief, and that in your life you were not rewarded according to your goodness, but wait for the day of the judgment of sinners, and for the day of cursing and chastisement. And when you die, the sinners will say about you, quote, as we die, so die the righteous, and what benefit do they reap for their deeds? See, even as we, the sinners, so do they die in grief and darkness. And what have they more than we? From now on we are equal. And what will they receive? And what will they see forever? Look, they too have died. And from now on forever shall they see no light. End quote. I tell you, you sinners, you are content to eat and drink and rob and sin, and strip men naked, and acquire wealth and see good days. Have you seen the righteous, how their end was peace, that no violence is found in them unto their death? Nevertheless, they died and became as though they had not been, and their spirits descended into hell in tribulation. Matthew 10:28 says, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Chapter 103. Now, therefore, I swear to the righteous. Well, Mikkel said, seems like these plasma beings like jumping from planet to planet, torching every single planet on their path. It's kind of accurate, though. If you boil things down, it's a bit accurate. Now, therefore, I swear to the righteous, by the glory of the great and honored and mighty one who reigns, I swear to you, I know this mystery. I have read the heavenly tablets and have seen the holy books, and have found written in it and inscribed regarding them, that all goodness and joy and glory are prepared for them, and written down for the spirits of those who have died in righteousness, and that much good shall be given to you in reward for your labors, and that your lot is abundant beyond the lot of the living. And the spirits of you who have died in righteousness shall live and rejoice, and your spirits shall not perish, nor shall your memory from before the face of the Great One to all the generations of the world. Therefore no longer fear their abuse. Woe to you, you sinners, when you have died, if you die in the abundance of your sins, and woe to those who are like you and say regarding you, blessed are the sinners, they have seen all their days, and how they have died in prosperity and in wealth, and have not seen tribulation or murder in their life. And they have died in honor, and judgment has not been executed on them during their life. End quote. You know that their souls will be made to descend into hell, and they shall be racked in great tribulation. John Lovell. Why do all the photographs of Jesus show him with long hair? Sorry, I was reading something else. I think it's just an assumption, right? I think it is assumed based on culture and culture alone is what I would say. But I would definitely agree with Mikkel as well. That we have, I mean, that wouldn't be the thing that I have a question about. I have a question about other aspects of Jesus's physical appearance as we see him. I suppose I would not be surprised either way, whether he had long hair or short hair. Nor does it really matter. I think the fact that we have Euroized and then Americanized, and I mean in the southern parts of the Americas, they've also done, like, every culture has kind of shifted Jesus into their own thing, to the point that there's like a joke about Asian Jesus. I don't know if that's actually true, but it's been a long running joke that in parts of Asia, Jesus was Asian. And it wouldn't surprise me, because I think that's just what we do. I think most people understand Korean Jesus is still the best. It's just what cultures do. Like, you want to be able to identify with it more. It's understandable, but it's kind of silly when you actually sit and think about it for a minute. Like, the guy was the guy. That man in the Shroud of Turin had long hair. Right. Kat and I were just talking about that. I'm so cynical, man. I'm so cynical. I still haven't fully gone down the rabbit hole. I eventually will. Maybe that is a Monday. We go down the Shroud of Turin rabbit hole. Huh. That'd be interesting. Maybe we do that. Maybe we do that. Because I need to do it anyways. And I just haven't put that much time into it. But it just makes no difference to me at all. You know, like, say we verified anything about it, which I don't think we ever could. But say we did. Does it change anything? I don't know. But yeah, maybe we do that this coming Monday. Go through the Shroud of Turin. I'm overdue for it, so that would be interesting. Coven. We love Bible study. I don't know if you mean that. But either way, I love that you're here, my friends, plural. Mikhail said that's another great topic for Mythical Monday. All right, well, agreed. We'll do that Monday. Sounds good. That should be interesting. So I will pull some stuff, and then we'll just kind of go at it through AI. So if there are any specific questions or angles or whatever regarding that, write it down or put it in Discord or something, and we will look into it Monday. Great idea. Should be interesting. We can verify that it isn't ink or pigment that created the image. Right. But, like, could we ever verify who it is? More or less a deduction beyond that point. I just don't, like, what do we get out of it? I think people have kind of taken it pretty far, and I just don't understand why and what the point is. But maybe when we go over Monday, I'll be won over, and I'll be like, damn, this actually mattered. And I would be happy to be proven wrong. David said, what if Mondays are a myth? Well, David, nothing is real, my friend. What is real? Do any of us exist? I think that's the better question. Because if nothing actually exists, then Mondays aren't real. And this isn't real. And none of us are real. Patricia said, usually with a, at the end of it, it ends with S. What did I miss? Patricia, I'm dull. So help me. David said, Ghost said, it will be great for the fence sitters. Well, that is me. So, oh, you mean Christians in general? God, see, I don't like that. If you're sitting on the fence, and this is totally just me, and I'm very comfortable with being the outlier. If you're sitting on the fence and the Shroud of Turin is the thing that pushes you over, I have like a fundamental problem with that. Because you didn't do anything. You didn't have an experience. You didn't like research or learn or get to the point where like it makes sense to you. So you didn't have a logical come to Jesus, and you didn't have a spiritual come to Jesus. You just believe that this thing was authentic and has the imprint of him. But like, so what? That doesn't say anything about Jesus. The old thing of like, Jesus was either God or an insane person. So what if we have this thing that was an imprint of him? He could still have just been an insane person that people thought was God, got the imprint of him, and now we have that today. It does nothing for me at all. And I think if you're sitting on the fence and that's what pushes you over, I'd have so many questions of like, I just like fundamentally disagree with that. Strawberry fields, man. Strawberry fields forever. Go said, I like Christ's teachings, but I don't think he's divine. Those people. But what would that do for those people? So for that, I like Christ's teachings, but I don't think he was God. We prove the Shroud of Turin is an imprint of Jesus. So what? Like, how would that move the needle for those people? Unless there's something about it that I don't know. Because again, I haven't done this yet. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole. So maybe I'm totally overlooking something. But I don't see how that would move the needle for anybody. For somebody who liked the way Jesus taught and what he taught, but didn't believe that Jesus was God and just thought he was kind of a mad person, or just a really good guy, but not God. We had the Shroud of Turin, so what? For those people, so what? But just said I was responding to ghosts asking for the oh, okay. Gotcha. This is why I shouldn't butt into other people's conversations. Clutch, what about all the messengers that came before? Clarify. What do you mean? Oh, in context of, were they all crazy too? In context of like Jesus, I think if we say Jesus is mad, I think it would be fair to say all of them were mad. All the prophets were mad. Abraham was surely mad. Moses, mad. That all these people were just crazy. I think you would have, I guess you wouldn't have to, but I think it would be fair to say if Jesus was just a mad person, all of them were probably mad people. I'm not saying that, to be clear. Like, we're speaking hypotheticals right now, but I think it would be fair to say. An impossible relic that could only be created with an insane burst of radiation. But that doesn't, I mean, fair enough, but for me, it's like, still, so what? Weird stuff has happened. So what? And like, if you're God, why that? Of all the things you could do, why that? It just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. I get the idea, but on like a larger logical frame, all I can think is just, so what? Ruth said, I can see how it would move the needle. Fair enough. So maybe I started this by saying I'm very comfortable being the outlier, and it sounds like I am. But Monday will be interesting. We'll go down the rabbit hole Monday, and you guys can try to win me over. But as of now, without doing the research, I just think it's irrelevant. Like, cool, very cool, but irrelevant. And doesn't it kind of take away from like the whole faith thing? If this moves the needle for some people and it brings them to Christ, does that not remove some of the faith aspect? Like, if this is a provable miracle that we actually have evidence of, which arguably there's not much like that, it removes a little bit of the faith. So what, those people get it on easy mode? They get some provable evidence and the rest of us just had to believe? I don't know. Coven said, if some are on the fence and the shroud seems like a miracle that can't be explained, it's not like the shroud was the only evidence here that was considered. Magic cloth is another straw. That's kind of how I see it. I mean, it speaks for itself. See, I don't know if I think it does. By society standards, yeah, crazy and nuts. Go said, the only other times we've seen similar phenomena is when a nuke goes off and burns images into surfaces. Okay. So what I'm learning just now is that I don't know enough, which I already knew. So this will be really interesting to go through it. Because if that's provable, if that's reliably true, that we've never seen anything like this outside of nukes literally going off and burning images into surfaces, then okay, fair enough. I'd be interested to learn more about that, because that would be I guess that would be a miracle in a sense. That would be something miraculous-ish, miracle adjacent. And so it'd be interesting. I'm excited now. Victory in you. Well, because the shroud is unique and seems to be made by an ultra-powerful light, it has no explanation as of yet besides supernatural. So if that's all true, then it'll be interesting to have kind of the theological conversation of why. Of why. Of all the things, why? Of all the times, why? Why now? Why this? I think it kind of digresses into that conversation. Go said, people who want the shroud to be fake will always believe it's fake regardless. Faith remains intact. Fair enough. Fair enough, my friend. Ruth said, I can see how it would move the needle for those raised in the church, then left the church because of unbelief. It'll be the theological interest, or a conversation will be interesting. Because I think you got some things you got to justify, if that's the case. So we're sending people to hell. God is sending people to hell who all they would have needed was a little bit of proof, and they would have been won over. All those people who have died thus far are in hell. But now in 2025, anybody who's right there on the fence gets the little bit of proof and gets to go to heaven. To its theological conclusion, I have all kinds of problems with it. All kinds of problems with it. But it'll be an interesting conversation. I think belief is more romantic. I don't know how to put it. I think that's a great way to put it, is that it's more romantic. I think that's an interesting way to put it. Okay. Yeah, Ghost sounds good. You sending me something beforehand sounds good. I'll do a little bit of like reading up too before I come, so I'm not just completely raw. But I figure I'll probably come with like a list of questions, and then we can just go at a couple of different AI models and hit it and see what we can find. David said, but if one does not believe he rose from the dead, nothing else is of any importance, which is a fair point. That's a fair point. So even if that's a fair point, David, I love you, because it would require that, right? Like that's a standard Christian belief. So even if people who are sitting on the fence come to the agreement that this was a miraculous event, that this lighting imprint that's not really possible in other contexts happened, and that it is Jesus, this still doesn't necessarily say Jesus is God, right? Like you'd still have to kind of have that part of the discussion. Maybe this is something God did, but does it say Jesus is divine? I mean, not necessarily. You could certainly argue, yes, but it doesn't on its own necessarily say so. Clutch said, different tests, people with no doubt still have to struggle differently. Oh man, I am behind. Victory said, however they come to believe is great, no matter what. I get what you mean, but I don't agree. Because I think people who come to believe, like based on untrue information or romanticization, or something to that effect, I'm not sure that that's good. But again, as usual, I'm sure I'm in the minority with that. Coven said, we want you and your watchers not to just attack and block us. Thank you for being open-minded to allow us into your pew. We are moving on to fight the atheists. Good night, cutie. Oh, good night, you, cutie. We don't ever block you or attack you. And sometimes it sounds like you are saying we do. So I just hope you don't actually think that. This chat is not moderated. There has never been a need. There has only a couple of times been a need for that. Clutch said, more grim, so you can tell them crazy, but it all depends on what they say and your belief in them too. Also sanity, and for humans to operate within the carbon forms. I didn't fully follow that. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's me and not you. Patricia, have a lovely night, my friend. Oh, you're saying goodnight to Coven. Never mind. Coven always has a lovely night. They're witches. How do they have a bad night? Goes to John 20 says the disciples saw the cloth is when the disciples saw the cloth is when they believed, but it doesn't explain why. My theory is that the cloth was still sealed, but with no body in it. That's an interesting theory. I'll have to think about that. That's an interesting theory. Okay. Okay. I'm more interested now. I'm feeling less defensive about my position, if I'm being completely transparent. So this will be pretty interesting to go through all this. Clutch said, like people that come with revelations, like prophets, for example, come with specific abilities. It's hard to know who are really crazy and how much of a spiritual understanding we have now. I would agree with that. Ghost said the ties were still tied in reference to John 20, I believe. Yeah, it's interesting. That's something I'm going to think about. The John 20 thing. Yeah, it's interesting. Graves. Well, you don't need to talk. We're just glad you're here. Perhaps madness is not purely physical. Yeah, I'd actually agree with that. I think there's a spiritual level of madness, I suppose you could say. Miguel. Clutch said, and all those who are suffering in addictions and such, or went on to the other side mentally breaking down, are perhaps also, and either with realities and communicating with actual realms we call crazy. From our perspective, it's always out in the ether, this type of thinking. It's already out in the ether, this type of thinking. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I would definitely agree with Ghost, though. Nothing is purely physical, to be fair. I think the spiritual side of madness is what a lot of people call demonic. Like, I think a lot of the time, I think those things are conflated. Because I think a lot of people view madness as like inability to be cohesive. And I don't necessarily agree with that definition. I think madness is just kind of the absence of order. And if God is order, what would the absence of order be? And I think it's kind of obvious. I also think it's much more complicated than that, but simply said. David said, or it could just simply be ghost that the cloths, or it could simply be ghost that the cloths were empty and Jesus was gone. To which Ghost said, that's true. That wouldn't rule out theft, though. Fair enough, yeah. Everything is energy. Yeah, it is. A sealed shroud with a burnt-in image would rule out theft. Without an elaborate plan, I suppose, yeah. Or like an elaborate heist. I suppose, yeah. This will be interesting. I'm peaked. I'm excited. You got me there, Ghost Bravo. All right. Well, I am going to make us a thing. Should we just do... No, I guess we have this. So in the podcast topic... Mythical Monday, the Shroud. Any questions, topics, etc. You can drop in there. Like if you get an idea and you don't want to forget. And then you guys have to help me on Monday. Remember that I posted this, but I probably will. Mythical Monday, this coming Monday, we'll do the Shroud. And anything specific that we want brought up or a question, whatever. And we'll just do a deep dive and run through as much as we can. And then any theories, I would love to hear because I am super ignorant. So I'm very excited. This should be good. But there is a thread, and in case you don't know how to use the threads or how to find them, there is now a link in off top. There it is. Make it as easy as possible. I didn't realize how in-depth the shroud was. I didn't either. This is why I love everybody here very much. The things I completely fail to learn about get brought up. Yeah, me too, Ruth. Very excited. Misfits time after this. Mike, you got me in the mood for them. Because somebody threw out a lyric, I think I saw earlier. Or something like that. All right, and then let's see. We're going to be coming back to 104. So I'm going to race through the rest of this chapter just so we end this cleanly. So verse 10 in 103, I believe. We'll read through to 104 and then we will call it a night. And we have been destroyed and have not found any to help us, even with a word. We have been tortured and destroyed and not expect to live from day to day. We hoped to be the head and have become the tail. We hope to be the head and have become the tail. We have worked hard and had no satisfaction in our labor, and we have become the food of the sinners and the unrighteous. And they have laid their yoke heavily on us. They have ruled over us and hated us and hit us. And those that hated us, we have bowed our necks, but they pitied us not. We desired to get away from them, that we might escape and be at rest, but found no place where we should flee and be safe from them. We complained to the rulers in our tribulation and cried out against those who devoured us. But they did not pay attention to our cries and would not listen to our voice. And they helped those who robbed us and devoured us and those who made us few. And they concealed their oppression or wrongdoing, and they did not remove from us the yoke of those that devoured us and dispersed us and murdered us. And they concealed their murder and did not remember that they had lifted up their hands against us. Jeremiah 30:15 says, why do you cry out over your wound, your pain that has no cure? Because of your great guilt and many sins, I have done these things to you. But all who devour you will be devoured. All your enemies will go into exile. Those who plunder you will be plundered. All who make spoil of you will be despoiled. But I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord, because you are called an outcast, Zion, for whom no one cares. This is what the Lord says. I will restore the fortunes of Jacob's tent and have compassion on his dwellings. The city will be rebuilt on her ruins, and the palace will stand on its proper place. From them will come songs of thanksgiving and the sound of rejoicing. I will add to their numbers, and they will not be decreased. I will bring them honor, and they will not be disdained. And we will come back to chapter 104, and we are 96% done. So I think when we're done with this on Thursday, we're going to go back to the Apocrypha of John and keep going through that. James Pixley, work of fiction that condones slavery is vile, as is the character it called God. To which Ghost said, wow, James, I've never thought about it that way before. Which is what I would say also. This is such an original thought. What a super interesting, not played out, original thought. I'm so glad you took the time to type that. It adds so much to the conversation. I'm just dying to engage with that. Mikhail said, Ghost, the shroud perhaps suffers from a chrysalis type effect. I mean, when Jesus suffered his metamorphosis at the tomb. That's an interesting way to say that. David said, does anyone hear that ringing? Oh, I'm sorry. It's the like alarm. Please subscribe. Ruth says, seeing the shroud videos, I did cemented my faith. See, that blows me away. Now, granted, I have not watched anything, so I'll do that. Or we'll do that maybe together on Monday. But that blows me away. That's wild. And like, that's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. Real quick, James said, I'm glad you showed you don't have the capacity to refute it at all. Well, there's nothing untrue about it. It did condone slavery. At the very least, it accepted slavery. Baby girl, if you are here to try to get me to speak nicely about the Bible, you are in the wrong place, my friend. You are in the wrong place. I guarantee I have more negative things to say than you do. So you're going to need to go grab a different Christian YouTube channel, my friend. You have come to the wrong, you have wandered in the wrong room, James, my boy. Yeah, it condoned it, or at the very least it accepted slavery. And so much of what Yahweh of the Old Testament did, I don't disagree. A lot of it is vile by human standards, vile by the morality of which we live under. Beyond that, there's a lot of complexity to talking about it. But God of the Old Testament was savage and in no way lived or worked or ruled under the moral compass or golden rule that was given to us. But that's really it. You'd have to have a more intelligent thing to say than throw out slavery. Like every first-year college student who begins to try to debate theology. You need to try harder. Explain what you mean, James. He's talking about all the slavery in the Bible and how they received rules for slavery, which in James's mind means they condoned it, which is not unfair to say. If you as God give rules to your people of how to keep slaves, it is a decent argument to say they're condoning slavery. But that's why I say, even at the very least, if you just refuse to accept that, God at least accepted slavery as a reality of the human condition at the time. It's totally fair. It's totally fair to say. Have you read other world religious books? Said unknown, which is a great question because all of human history is riddled with slavery. All of it. Cross culture, cross religion. It was not a unique to Jewish, because it wasn't Christians at that time. It wasn't Christians that engaged in that type of slavery. I guarantee you don't, babe girl. James, my friend. You have obviously never been here. So we have grace for you. Anybody here will tell you that it is probably true. I have more negative things to say about the Bible than you do. I guarantee this. I will bet you anything at all that it is true. It says slavery was a way of life back then. Dang, but God gave rules on how to treat them. People who had nothing had no choice but to work for someone. Some of the time, yeah. I wouldn't say it was all of the time, though. It was just how humanity functioned across the board. James said, yet your God also says it is unchanging, and Jesus says he came to enforce old laws. The Jesus thing is just not true, unless all you're reading from is one gospel, which I reject. I also reject only using the canon, so it's entirely untrue. If you broaden out past the accepted books of the canon, which I do. And the first part, I would agree. There's a contradiction there. There's a massive contradiction in this idea that God doesn't change. But I get the Christian arguments too. They're just going to throw the Trinity at you. I think it's hard to argue that God is unchanging. But the normal Christian response to you, James, will be that the Trinity is three separate beings, right? So Yahweh never changed. Jesus being so different from Yahweh, but being different, means God didn't change. I would probably be on your side on that one, because I don't accept the normal view of the Trinity. And I think there's a massive, massive, massive issue when trying to reconcile Yahweh of the Old Testament and the character of Jesus Christ. I think there's a huge problem with that. And I don't think it works. And I don't have the answer for how to make it work. But again, it's really only problematic if you require yourself to live inside of the approved Bible. If the canon is law and only the Word of God and the only Word of God, then you're going to have, in my opinion, you're never going to be able to make it make sense. Because it doesn't. James said, Ruth, your God was knowing enough to tell people not to eat certain foods, not to mix fabrics, not to shave, but couldn't say, don't own people. James, go beyond the YouTube Christian atheist debates. The stuff gets tired quick, man. Bring something new. Patricia said, it may be controversial, but I think some of the things in the Old Testament were what they thought God wanted, not what God actually wanted. But that doesn't mean I don't believe in God. It's really hard to wrestle with, so I get it. I would mostly agree. I would agree to an extent. I think a lot of what we got in the Old Testament was not directed by God. I think if you're a Christian who believes the Bible is infallible, though, I don't think you can say that and be logically consistent. But if you're somebody who thinks like the Bible is the greatest resource we have, and the books within the canon are the most verifiable, not verified, but verifiable of the early literature. So therefore, it's a book that I'm going to mimic and mirror as much as I can, because I believe in most of what is being said. But because it's not fully verifiable, and because I do tend to believe that maybe not all of this was the literal word of God, some of it gets taken with a grain of salt. I think that's also fair to say. But it does become problematic then, in a sense, because you're picking and choosing, which is what people do anyways. It's just kind of a reality. Atheists do the same thing in a different context. Hierarchy is inescapable, James. The golden rule still applies. 100% agree. Thank God slavery doesn't exist now. Slavery exists now more than it ever has in the entire history of this planet. So I assume you're being sarcastic. There are more slaves currently at this very moment in time than there have ever been on this planet, ever, by a multitude. There are more slaves currently. 1,000%. So I really hope nobody here thinks slavery does not exist. Slavery is worse than it's ever been in the history of the human race. Literally, slavery is rampant. Victory said yes. Slavery is unbelievably rampant. And in the US, rampant, insane numbers of slavery in the US, predominantly women and children. And I assume everybody knows what I mean once I say that. To Ruth's point, Mikkel said, even praised Roman Stoic philosopher, what? Oh, was a slave. Like, the use of the emoji gets me, dude. Let's see. Good job. You have literally zero evidence of any of it being true. Agreed. You weren't here 20 minutes ago when I said that exact same thing. So I assume you're not talking to me, because otherwise I agree. There is no evidence of anything. Everybody here is going to try to convince me there's evidence that the Shroud of Turin matters on Monday. So James, if you would like to come back, you could experience me being a cynic about the Shroud of Turin and everybody else trying to convince me that it matters. And maybe James, maybe you and me, maybe we're on a team, because I don't think I have anybody else to have my back on this one. Did God create slavery, or did mankind create it? God gave rules to control and humanize it. It's an interesting way to phrase the question. Do we create anything? I think is also a question. Like, did we create electricity? Do we create literally anything? Or are we just discovering or figuring things out? I think is the broader question. But you said, I don't believe the Bible is infallible, but do any of us here, LOL? Yeah, nobody here. I don't think anybody here would ever last more than a night if they thought the Bible was the infallible, perfect word of God. If George R.R. Martin taught us anything, it's that the unreliable narrator has an important purpose in narrative resolution. Yeah, fair enough. Can you exhibit the emoji, Joe? No. And partially because the camera box is too short. It'd be hard to do one of those, you know? It'd be hard to do. James, I saw your name as James Pickle. I did too when I first read his name. I'm glad I wasn't alone in that. Mikhail said, it is like someone said, the worst slave is the one who doesn't know he or she is a slave. What? Yeah, who said that? Do you know where that quote came from? James said, you also skipped over the comment I made before that. I don't believe so. They're all highlighted on my end. So that must not be for me. We've read all of your comments, my friend. I have, at least. Come back Monday night, James. Nobody here is your enemy. Yeah, agreed. And I could use somebody on my side on Monday, because everybody else here is going to try to sway me, and I'm going to be very cynical. So I could use you on my team, my friend. LMAO, being a cynic over a known fake thing. Wow, so cynical. Well, it's not a known fake thing if you're talking to Christians. To them, it is a real and valuable thing. So being a cynic about it is cynical, because in that context, that makes sense. To a room full of atheists, I would agree. Wow, so cynical. Context matters. I feel like you just have to have an attitude. And I think you're having a hard time swallowing that you walked into the wrong room where nobody has any interest in arguing with you at all. There are many, many, many channels like this where you can go argue with people. So your time would probably be better spent there. But if you want to hang out, we'd love to have you. I think criminals became slaves, but it got driven out of hand. Partially true. But that wasn't all, though. Like, oftentimes criminals did become slaves, but it doesn't account for, even from what I understand, even the majority of slaves. Don't make cat roll-up slaves. Well, I skipped picking up pizza to be here. Why did you do that? Don't ever do that again. Go said people who are addicted to literally anything are slaves. Slaves is a diverse concept. Great point. Yeah. Victory said, I guess I believe it's infallible. I have come across anything that appears as a flaw or problemsome, but do think some books probably missing from the canon, like Enoch. Well, I hope you keep coming then, because we often point things out. There are certainly flaws in the Bible. There are certainly errors in the Bible. There have certainly been retractions, and there have certainly been additions. Certainly. I don't think that says anything about its validity, though. But I think those things are certainly present. So I hope you keep coming back, because we often will bring them up and talk about them. There are errors. It doesn't say anything. In my opinion, it doesn't say anything about the validity. Yeah, I'll throw hands with Joe in Minecraft. Well, I usually give my child 30 minutes of Minecraft together a weekend, so we can throw hands in Minecraft. David said, I believe the Bible is infallible. I hang out here because I love all of you as my family. Well, there you go. There's David. So there's at least one. Well, no, two, because Victory said, I assume she, based on the picture, believes the same thing. Kat said, on another note, hit the like button if you think Joe is sick. James, we can talk music. Yeah, James, you should come to Discord. Paradoxically, imperfections can make something perfect, depending on goals and context. I mean, yeah. Yeah. As usual, well said. Fair enough. Touche, my friend. James, everybody likes you. I hope you're not gone. I hope you decide to come back. I hope you weren't just here to argue. We could definitely argue, though. I'm down. Monday, I'm sure there will be some arguing. It's just always respectful. So if you want a disrespectful argument, it's not the place to be. All right, I'm going to skim through this real quick, and then I got to go. It's mainstream now? What is? I agree with David. James, I think you're brave to speak your mind. I agree. As long as he's not just trying to pick a fight, I agree. It'd be nice to have people more cynical than I around. I would not hate that. Slayer is not for me. I'm picky. I'm not a fan of Slayer either. My music is not of the devil. Oh, because Ghost said, I too am an enjoyer of the devil music. Did y'all listen to Screamo back in the day? Like the Bring Me the Horizon type stuff? I had a season of that, you know? A season or two, I suppose, if I'm being honest. A season or two. Victory said, yeah, of course, you just showed up on my YouTube feed and subscribed. I'd love to join the Bible study and learn. All right, Victory, follow this channel too. Because every Monday we're on the one I just put in the chat, Tattoo Theist, and every Thursday we're here. And then normally we do Saturday and Sunday too, but my wife and I are about to have a baby. So we're pulling back to get some of that stuff ready and figured out. But join Discord if you haven't. Is the Discord link not there? It should be. It's not showing for me though. Let me see. Let me get the link here. If you're interested, here's the spiel, and then I gotta go. We have a Discord. The Discord is free and will always be free. In Discord, there's an events tab that shows Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time, Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time. Like I said, normally we've done Saturday and Sunday as well. Like we were in the Book of Job on Sunday, and on Saturday we were doing the Apocrypha of John. But for a bit, until we have the baby and get our lives back together, it's just going to be Monday and Thursday. But two different YouTube channels. Monday is on @Tattoo Theist, which is like my personal one, and then Thursday is on this one, @Live Bible Study. But Discord is great otherwise, because it's just all these lovely people in there doing lovely people stuff. And it's fantastic. Truly fantastic. So I highly recommend joining. And yes, it does seem like James went into hiding, unfortunately. Unfortunately. It seemed like he just wanted to argue, you know. Didn't seem like good faith, but maybe it was. Maybe he's just used to people like being combative, you know. Benefit of the doubt, because I get that. I get that a lot. All right. Bring Me the Horizon became Bring Me the Hairspray. Hard pass. That's 100% true. 100% true. The radio is where music goes to lose its soul. Extremely true. Turns out the Karens at the time were probably right. Which Karens? Oh, Graves put his band up. His old band? Yeah, old band. The Drencroms. Look them up. Do the thing. I'm going to go listen to something. All right, I'm out. I'm going to go listen to Graves' old band, and then I'm going to eat and go to sleep. Love y'all. Love y'all. Love y'all. Monday, Mythical Monday, so named by Ghost, will be the Shroud of Turin. And I will come on the offensive against it being real and against that it matters. And y'all can convince me. And we'll do a deep dive and use AI and all that fun stuff. All right, everybody have a good night. Love you guys dearly. Oh, and have a lovely weekend, since I'm not going to see